He even had kind words for Bubbles.
He's like a person because he's real playful and he loves to get in trouble. He's mischievous, you know. He's wild. I mean, he eats out of a spoon just like a person. Doesn't mess up his lips. A real personality.
Michael, how do you like your Australian fans?
Get out. I love them. 1987's Bad Tour lasted well into 1988, and Michael's joy was apparent. E.T. saw him play fighting with his manager and high-fiving his band. He even gave Sheryl Crow a few moments in the spotlight.
Plus, she gets to hug Michael. That's right.
But slowly, Michael began his retreat into the shadows. His public appearances became shorter and shorter. When L.A. named November of '88 as Michael Jackson Month, he barely said a word.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And eventually, the man who blazed through the decade became a camera-shy recluse who seemed to repeat the same speech nearly every time he spoke in public.
Thank you very much. I'm very honored, very thankful. I love you all. Thank you.
In 1985, at the peak of his success, Michael made what is probably his best financial investment, spending $40 million to purchase the rights to almost every song the Beatles ever wrote.
Coming up next, Michael in trouble.
Behind the scenes on the music video where Michael was labeled an anti-Semite.
I love Jewish people.
The accusation, the controversy, the shame.
They served a search warrant on me which allowed them to view and photograph my body.
Then Michael's lost song, the plastic surgery rumors, and the rare interview from when he was just a teenager.
Plus, Scott Peterson's mistress, the story behind her topless photos. As entertainment tonight, as we look at Michael Jackson exposed.
If the 80s were Michael's years to shine, then the 90s will be remembered as the decade where his headlines were more about his troubles than his music.
Don't treat me like a criminal, because I am innocent.
In 1993, Michael was rocked by a scandal which has followed him ever since. A lawsuit was filed on behalf of a 13-year-old boy claiming sexual battery, seduction, and willful misconduct. Michael had begun a relationship with the boy a year before, and when the charges hit, Jackson's family fought back.
That Michael has been made a victim in cruel, obvious attempt to take advantage of his fame and success.
Members of his family said they believed in his innocence and that the allegations brought them closer together.
It allows you to endure, and being able to experience such things, it makes you tougher and stronger so that you can meet such situations and be able to cope with them.
Michael hired famed Hollywood private detective Anthony Pellicano, who told E.T. he questioned the boy after the charges were filed.
And when I spoke to him for approximately 45 minutes by ourselves, he absolutely said and denied that Michael did anything, didn't do anything inappropriate.
Police went to Jackson's Neverland Ranch to collect evidence of child molestation.
They served a search warrant on me which allowed them to view and photograph my body, including my penis, my buttocks, my lower torso, thighs, and any other area that they wanted.
Looking back now, the child molestation charges clearly were a terrible, terrible blow to Michael Jackson, and one from which he still has not recovered.
Michael continued to tour, and then another bombshell hit in November of 1993. He announced that he was undergoing rehab for an addiction to painkillers. At that time, Jackson videotaped testimony for a copyright infringement case. He appeared disoriented and admitted to having taken medication for a toothache.
Okay, Mr. Jackson, you want to take a break? Did you, at the break, did you have to take a pain medication for your pain?
The child abuse investigation lasted for more than a year, but he was never charged with any crime. He did settle the boy's lawsuit against him, saying he didn't want to drag it on and on. Pellicano ended up resigning from Michael's employ, but believed in his innocence. He said the singer is surrounded by an entourage who he believes doesn't have Michael's best interests in mind.
You have to understand that Michael is a money machine, and there's all kinds of people around him that are trying to advise him. You know, those people who call themselves friends, and those people who have their own agendas. I'm very lucky and very fortunate I kept it together as long as I did.
In 1995, Michael's History album included a number of songs where he seemed to be lashing out at the treatment he received during the scandal. E.T. was invited to accompany Michael to Brazil to shoot the video for his song, They Don't Care About Us. These controversial lyrics set off another firestorm. Jewish groups were outraged at the lyrics. Michael answered back saying that the song was about forcing people into stereotypes and that he wasn't anti-Semitic at all.
By the way, I love Jewish people.
The video shoot itself sparked headlines in Brazil because it was shot in the shanty towns of Rio de Janeiro. The multi-millionaire star flew into the impoverished area on a helicopter, but the thousands of fans who turned out to see him loved him, and Michael seemed to feed off their adoration. 2002 would prove to be another bad year for Scandal. He lashed out at Sony Records and its then chairman Tommy Mottola, accusing them of not doing enough promotion for his album Invincible.
It's complete hate and evil. This says it all, doesn't it?
In November that year, Jackson found himself in court being sued by a promoter after he canceled a series of Millennium concerts.
Michael, what do you feel about this whole process?
Interesting.
He ended up having to pay the promoter $5.3 million. Before the case came to a conclusion, Michael made a trip to Berlin to accept an award. While fans chanted outside his hotel room, the singer brought his young son, Prince Michael II, to the balcony to show fans. And his uneasy grip on the child caused an outrage around the world.
I'm concerned that he does not appear to fully appreciate the risk of harm that was presented when he dangled that baby over the balcony.
Attorney Gloria Allred even wrote a letter to the California Department of Social Services asking for them to investigate Jackson.
Tell her to go to hell.
That comment set off a war of words.
He's telling me to go to hell. I'm telling him to go to parenting class.
Michael said the child he conceived in vitro with a surrogate mother was never in any danger, and he always puts his children first. But Cher didn't buy it.
If it was up to me, he wouldn't have those babies now.
Really?
Yeah, because there is no amount of fans or anything that could make me, I mean, I have 2 children. I'm not in my wildest, craziest, I don't give a how many fans are out there. It is the most, it was the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen a parent do.
But the event was not the last where Jackson's parenting skills were questioned. The day after the balcony incident, Michael took his other children, Prince Michael and Paris, to the Berlin Zoo, but their faces were covered by veils. He says he was trying to protect their identity, but Jackson biographer J. Randy Taraborelli thinks that explanation is tough to comprehend.
Well, Michael said that he wants his children to live a normal life. And I think that normal children don't wear masks in public. And I think that he might want to re-examine that.
Coming up next, Michael's plastic surgery.